We're all thrown into it, one way or the other. We all try to steer it as straight as we can. Sometimes we collide with each other. Who is to blame? And who's gonna fix the boat? Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say? Let's close the door on the past. So we swim, and it is in so many ways just a little trick to keep our heads above water. But now I'm not afraid anymore. Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say? Let's close the door on the past. Oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I,
All
let's
right.
try a
Welcome
fresh
to
start
the
today.
Second Life Book Club. My name is Draxtor, and the intro music for today was the song Life, Oh Life, sung by me actually from the Login to Life soundtrack. That was a movie we made for German public television, and it's available hidden on my channel. I can send it to you if you want, but because it was actually ran successfully on television, but these television licenses are so weird that it was not available for 6 or 7 years. This movie, Log Into Life, until the director. I didn't direct it. I just did the music and the machinima, but the director had to fight for years to get basically sell it on Vimeo for a la carte download. But I completely digress. This is the Second Life Book Club here at the cafe. It's a summer break. Summer break means we have no guests, and it's just a totally casual hangout. If nobody shows up, if nobody shows up at the cafe, I plan about going back to bed. So let's zoom back the camera. Woohoo! We have two people. Awesome. And of course the tip jar, the lonely tip jar is actually not a person. Um oh, and here we have a person just dancing. Paradise is dancing. Just like living in paradise. Here's Bunny McCloud, Jessica Genevieve. And now I'm zooming up here. And here's a dragon. Look at this. I'm zooming up. I'm streaming myself today because Isabel is also off somewhere. This is cool. Check this out. I was like, there's two people in the audience, two readers, but there's a dragon upstairs. Ooh. The dragon says, I'm on second floor because I didn't know how many would be here. Flenza, as you see, there's nobody here except for us, so you can come down, but you can also start you could also be up there, so I'll occasionally zoom up to you. But I don't see your bubble chat. So if you want to comment, you got to come downstairs so I see your bubble chat, and then I can read it. Also want to say big hello to Kitten Duo. Initially, I didn't want to stream, but then I realized Kitten cannot be with us, and she is watching the stream. And I don't care if only one person is watching the stream. As a matter of fact, there is only one person watching the stream, and it's probably Kitten Duo. And I feel an obligation to provide Kitten with a glimpse into what's happening here in world. And I gladly do that. So welcome Kitten on the chat. So I'm doing like a lot of stuff today, so it's not gonna be as professional as usual. So I want to open here with this. You saw this image here that I opened with. This is actually take as a photo I took here on the board. This is my balcony vacation. So I'm not really on vacation. I mean, I'm working. I'm a working stiff, as they say. So I'm not going to a foreign country or whatever, and it's actually really annoying me when people talk about, so where are you going on vacation? This is a kind of a status symbol game that I don't want to play. Even if I were going somewhere, I would probably do a provocative answer, say, yeah, I'm going into the basement to play Second Life or something. But this image here, these are three items here on this image. You see this Perry Roden, the biggest, here it says in German, the biggest space opera series, the biggest space opera series. Now they changed it to the biggest sci-fi series. This is a series that I've been going on and on about. It started in 1961, predated Doctor Who, predated Star Trek, and came out with these sort of novellas, these epic novellas. These are just 60 pages, but they come out every week, and they come out to this day, every single week since 1961. Now, why is there a Nivea sun lotion next to it, and why is there a cup of tea? Now, these three items are my teleportation devices. This is how I teleport myself back to 1983, the best year. Not necessarily, but I was 12 years old, 1983, when I discovered Perry Roden. I don't know how I discovered it. I really want to kind of like have someone with hypnosis extract this. Why did I discover it? Fact is that a lot of people at age 11 or so, 12 in Germany discover Perry Roden. And again, it's a huge epic series that is not just these little magazines. 100 of those, basically 6,000 pages, constitute one big sort of season, just like a TV show. But anyway, when I smell these, and these are like 80 cents, I buy them used, right? So they smell, moldy paper. And I combine this Nivea, which had that smell, that perfume hasn't changed since 1975. So I lather that on, okay? Then I grab my Perry Roden, and then I have my tea. And that teleports me back to 1983 when I discovered Perry Roden, when I was on vacation in Italy, sometimes or Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, with my parents. Had my Perry Roden. Of course, they didn't give me black tea when I was 12, or did they? I don't know. But they gave me some sort of tea, herbal probably. So these three items, they give me those are my comfort items, and they have to do with content, but they also have to do with smell. And that's why I took this picture. This picture. Oh, here's Siri, Lucina. Welcome, welcome Siri, welcome Shiloh, and welcome Elian. So here I started right off with this Perry Roden thing, and Flenza is your Perry Roden looks much better than mine. I guess cover on mine is faded. So Flenza presumably is American, and he knows Perry Roden. Why does he know Perry Roden as an American? Because Perry Roden was in fact published in America, 1971. I actually don't know when they stopped it, but Perry Roden was very successful in America for a while. And this, as a matter of fact, on the book stand right here, Perry Roden Enterprise Stardust is the first book, and they sold it in paperback format. So I think they combined two of these novellas per book, or maybe three. And I'm ready to read some of it if we want. So 1971, this came out in America, and it's funny on the back cover it says, "Are we losing the science fiction race?" Because publisher Forrest Ackerman, who basically spearheaded this endeavor, his wife translated them, he was all about, yeah, we're losing the sci-fi race because this is the biggest thing in Germany right now, and it's beating us. We don't want to be beat by the Germans. We beat the Germans. Flenser says Fori, but he means Forrest Ackerman somehow did a deal with the Germans and found someone who would publish the translations. Yeah, this was Ace Books. And so, yeah, a lot goes into this work, going to a publisher and saying like, I have this obscure German sci-fi series. Do you want to publish it? Well, what are the numbers? Well, the numbers are huge in Germany. There are millions. And then the publisher, American publisher, says, well, yeah, the Germans are crazy. They would buy anything. And then Forrest Tuckerman says, I don't know. It's pretty damn good. You should read it. And then the publisher reads something like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, Flenser. I think it was published maybe for 5, 6 years. Anyways, it's still published in Japan, the Netherlands, and some other countries. So I just wanted to mention this. Don't want to make the whole show about Perry Roden, but to sum up the Perry Roden intro, the Perry Roden folks are scheduled for October 26th. And these are English-speaking folks and they're based in Berlin. And they basically do the reboot of Perry Roden, and they do that in English. It's called Perry Roden Neo, and it's really, really good. So this is sort of an updated version of the original stuff that came out in the 60s. And again, I cannot overemphasize it. Actually, one aspect, and Flenza may know this too, George Lucas is rumored to have read Perry Roden. I mean, again, it was ubiquitous in the US 1970, early 70s. And it's all about, there's a lot of space fighting, epic space opera kind of stuff, but also these blueprints of starships, spaceships and stuff, and weapons in those magazines. And there's a persistent rumor that George Lucas was very, very impressed with Perry Roden, and George Lucas then directed a little known movie called, what was it called again? The name escapes me. Good and old Star Wars. That's right. 1970. Star Wars. So everything goes back to the Germans. So Kitten Duo says hello to everyone in world. Um, Wonderful. So here we are. Roxy is just coming in, and so I have a few readings prepared. I have a few other things prepared. I went through but I want to solicit people talking about what they're reading for the summer. If they want to share this with us, anybody want to share what they're reading for the summer, you can do this in voice or in text. And as far as voice is concerned, please just start talking, and I will stop. I remind you that a new book club member came to Shiloh and says, "Oh, I love the book club, but I wanted to say something," and he just talks nonstop. And how do I when do I actually say something? And then Shiloh said, well, you just talk over him and then he'll stop. Sorry, that's the deal. Yeah. Oops, I have some breathing issues. I was at the gym and I think I tore something. Jessica is reading Maggie O'Farrell, The Marriage Portrait. Tell us a little bit about it if you like, or also post a link. Comes out in 3 weeks, so this is brand new. My plan for reading actually, um, I see Roxy's typing. Does Bunny want to use voice? Bunny has used voice before. Um, or Shiloh. Uh, my reading, I have decided to read basically canon. You know what is considered canon, or what I consider canon. What is canon? Canon is sort of the big tomes of the. It's usually confined to sort of Western writing, I guess. I mean, I'm not a literary scholar or anything like that, but I understand canon to be, unfortunately, only the Western world uh, important books of the last few hundred years. Um, that's not how I define canon. I include that, but I would also include other realms, the Southern Hemisphere and other countries, not only Europe and America. But canon should be, in my mind or in my definition, a book that has stood the test of time. A book that has, I don't know, proven its worth in the sense that it pushed writing forward somehow, right? Okay, so when people talk about canon, they talk about Moby Dick, they talk about Marcel Proust, Remembrance of Times Past. They talk about that kind of stuff. They talk about Ulysses. In Germany, they talk about Günter Grass, the Tin Drum, stuff like that. I include that stuff, but I also include some things that may not be included. And again, also, I want to expand my journey into other parts of the world. So I have decided to read, first of all, I'm a very regimented guy, so I'm going to show you this. Where is it? So I decided to purchase these Perry Rodents for 80 cents each. I think I showed this before. I found a used bookstore around the corner, and I'm starting to read from the very beginning. They're now publishing issue 3190. So I'm not going to catch up unless I read 3 every day. But I purchased used different editions from 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, 16. I was wondering, I haven't read this. And I decided on the following regimen during the summer. I'm going to read one per day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Again, this is 60 pages, but they're bigger pages, so magazine type. So it's about 100 pages probably. So I'm reading one per day, Monday through Wednesday, and then I'm going to start the canon book. And I had a hard time deciding on the canon book. But what I decided on, and I see a bubble chat coming up, so I'm going to address this in a second. Um, I decided on this book, Star of the Unborn. This was written by a guy named Franz Werfel. Who is Franz Werfel? Franz Werfel was a Jewish German author that was born in Bohemia. It's now the Czech Republic. And this is a proto sci-fi novel that came out in 1945, just before he died. I mean, there was sci-fi before that, but he died like a couple days afterwards. This is an insane book that I haven't read, but it's been in my shelf and it's been looking at me for a long time. It's about society 100,000 years from now. Okay? And I love this cover. This is the American edition. In the back it says a visionary masterpiece, an underground classic. I have no idea how this was perceived in America, but obviously it was an underground classic. A journey through a world 100,000 years from our own, where mankind's deepest aspirations have been fulfilled. War, disease, old age, even poverty have vanished, replaced by ageless beauty, perfect leisure, and the direct transformation of solar energy into every material need. A cosmic Gulliver's travels told with gargantuan imaginative power. This is a 700-page book, okay? This is not just you go like, okay, well, yeah, everything is solved. We've seen that. Yes, but you haven't seen it in 1945 when Franz Werfel wrote this book. Let's see, do I have my Franz Werfel? I have a Franz Werfel slide. Here's inside of the book. I'm going to go to the comments in a second. Just want to look at this. Astromental civilization in the 11th cosmic capital year of Virgo, where men have already experienced Judgment Day, where places routinely travel to people who want to visit them. Okay, let me read this again. Places travel to the people who want to visit them, where old age is unknown and dying has been replaced by its opposite, where a universal language makes it impossible to utter threats or insults, where one giant worker cheerfully provides all of humanity's wants and needs, where the crystalline mountain Jebel lights up man's knowledge into himself and into the farthest reaches of space. Now, these are just a bunch of concepts here that are in this future world. Here it says, born in Prague, 1890, Franz Werfel was one of the few modern writers to distinguish himself in three genres: poetry, drama, and the novel. So this is really, really exciting for me. And again, there was really a toss-up. I agonized over this. I was sitting in front of all these big books, and I decided on Star of the Unborn. You can get it used on eBay, and I had it. I have it in German. The American version is cost prohibitive on eBay right now. But yeah, I'm super excited about reading basically a sci-fi book from a writer that I've read many other books by Franz Werfel. Song of Bernadette is very well known. I had a I thought I had a another slide. God, I don't have help today. I need help, but I don't have it. Where is the Franz Werfel slide? Oh, here it is. Okay. Got to send it to myself and bring it in. But anyway, so that's that. Jessica, yes, there was a film of the Song of Bernadette. Correct. That's after Franz Werfel. And Franz Werfel fled the Nazis. Um, he came to America. He lived in the Pacific Palisades region with all the other big Germans, Thomas Mann, Bertolt Brecht, a whole bunch of others. I actually never been there. There's a museum there. Um, yeah, only only Thomas Mann and Bertolt Brecht come to mind. Gustav Mahler, no, Mahler died in 1911. The connection between Franz Werfel and Gustav Mahler is that Alma Mahler, the widow of Franz Mahler, married Franz Werfel. Okay, Gustav Mahler. Now, I'm completely digressing. Let's not get into that because while that is fascinating, I'm just uploading a slide here real quick and just throw it up there because I love Franz Werfel's look. Here we go. That's him. That's the man. Franz Werfel was Austrian Bohemian. Oh God, I said German Bohemian. Playwright, poet. Also, the 40 Days of Mossadegh is an important book about the Armenian genocide, and he wrote that during the rise of the Nazi regime. So it eerily parallels what Hitler was about to do with the Jews um, and others. And yeah, the Song of Bernadette. Here was the movie. Now let's go to the comments of you guys here. Let's see. I saw the chat bubbles go by. Roxy says I was follow Melissa Teresa's work this summer, but she's kind of one of those summer holiday style authors and LGBTQ plus friendly, focuses on sapphic stories, but it really is a read on the weekend type of fantasy romance. I'm looking more into art bibliography styles before the start of my next college term this year in October, so I'm complete fiction, then factorial art stuff. Ah, Melissa Therese. Roxy's providing us here with a link. I'll try to paste this link into YouTube as well. That's interesting, Roxy. I'm wondering if you also like to look at catalogs of exhibitions. Matter of fact, I got a lot from my aunt because I usually don't buy them, but my aunt gave me like she had a lot and she's getting rid. She's 82 and she's getting rid of her books and she just gave them to me. And it's really cool just looking through catalogs and reading little biographies and context of artists that I've never even heard about. Um, Jessica's also putting a link. Ilian says, I'm reading Ines del Alma Mia, Ines of My Soul from Isabel Allende. Oh, yeah, was a present from someone living in Santiago de Chile. Very interesting, Ilian. My wife loves Isabel Allende. We have a lot of her books. Roberto Bolaño, another Chilean who wrote a tome called 2666, which also was my toss up for like reading, the big book. Roberto Bolaño um, hated Isabel Allende because he thought that she was just too like, I guess, commercial, whatever. This is just like a little, I don't know, a gossip tidbit. I mean, you can love both. I think Isabel Allende is fantastic. But also think Roberto Bolaño, uh, his book The Third Reich, to me is the perfect novel. Yeah. Now I came across something interesting in the Nation magazine, which is a progressive magazine that I have a subscription, and they had a book review from a book that is absolutely insane. It's a quick read, which everybody should read, and this is a book called The Wall. Okay, let me talk briefly about The Wall. This is just a screenshot from the aword.com website. Um, the Wall. I don't know if you've heard of it. There was a movie made. I didn't see it. It stars the sister of my ex-girlfriend, actually. She's a famous actress. Not my girlfriend, but her sister. But The Wall is incredible. So let me just tease The Wall to you so to get the appetizer going. The Wall was written in 1963 by an Austrian author that passed away in the 70s, Marlene Haushofer. This is about a woman who, with a few friends, goes up to the mountains to spend the night or maybe a week, I think, in a little hut in the mountains up there. Okay? Just hanging out, cooking. I think it's four people, her, the main protagonist, and a couple, and then another guy who owns the little hut or cabin, I should say. In the evening, the three of them, excluding the protagonist, they say, "Hey, we're going to go down to the village and drink a little bit and hang out in the pub. You want to come?" And she says, the main protagonist, who has no name, says, "No, I'm staying." Okay? She stays, she goes to bed. She wakes up in the morning. Now, guess what happened? I don't know. Ilian is typing. Maybe she knows the book. It's known in the German-speaking world, obviously more than in the English-speaking world, but it's also really not that well known in Germany, quite frankly. I mean, it doesn't have the stature that it should have. Anyway, the main protagonist in the morning wakes up and her friends are not there, and it's very quiet. The sun is out. She goes outside. She looks down to the village. The cabin is pretty high, so she doesn't see anything, but she sees a guy. She sees like a farmer standing as if he's kind of frozen, like a statue. And then she just wants to kind of walk downhill a little bit towards that guy and ask him, "Hey, what happened?" And again, her friends haven't come back from the village. And then she bumps into an invisible barrier. Please don't say Stephen King, whatever, the dome. Completely different thing. The 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 conceit that somebody is constrained by an invisible barrier. I'm sure that there's many books like that, but this is a singular. This book goes very very differently. The immediate thing when you read this, you go like, "Oh my God, she's confined by this invisible barrier, this invisible wall." And then she goes, "What's happening?" Right? And she tries again. Then she's going in circles. She's going around and around and around, and it's everywhere. So she's completely locked in this cabin with a radius of, I forgot what the radius was. So there's quite a radius, maybe like a kilometer or something, with woods and different vegetation and stuff like that. But it's all around, so there's no way she can get out. There's no way. And then there's a dog, there's a cow, There's a cat that comes in. Book is about 250 pages, and I'm going to stop there. I don't want to spoil it. Let me just say it is the your thoughts will go to uh, an apocalyptic event, right? Nuclear attack, everybody's dead, and then somehow or aliens put a little dome over it or whatnot. I can tell you without telling you if this is what happens or if this is even discussed. I will tell you that this book is so compelling that about 10, 15 pages after it's revealed that there is this wall and she can't get out, and where you for 15, 20 pages you're like, oh my god, what happened, what happened, your brain naturally goes to like, I want to know what happened, the aliens, who was this. I guarantee you after 20 pages after this is revealed you don't care anymore, and it goes into a completely different direction, and this is a powerful, is such a powerful book in that regard, in many regards, but that it is able to draw you in, basically take your brain, take your, I don't know, conditioning or preference, at least mine, for post-apocalyptic, mystery type speculative things, turn it around and give you a completely different five-course meal that is incredibly delicious and incredibly nourishing and really transformative. um, is remarkable. So this is a must read. This is an absolute must read. I'm not kidding you. All this other stuff that we're talking about, Perry Roden, who cares? But this is a must read. Here they have on Amazon, they have like this little let me read this. I can allow myself to write the truth. All the people for whom I have lied throughout my life are dead. Yeah, this is good that they actually put that up there, I guess. Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know why I stumbled. Oh yeah, I remember now. I stumbled upon this because let me actually post the link here real quick. Let me retrieve it. The Nation magazine has a really good review. I mean, the review is very well written. I mean, this is one of the examples where you go like, you know what? Why do I need a review? Well, this is a review that is so well written that you realize there's an art to reviewing things. Right? It's not just like an Amazon description. It's a real it's a literary art form actually. So here I'm going to post this from the Nation. You can read this free. This has more spoilers probably, but it's also I think really kind of appetizing. So yeah, so those are my things. Elian says I don't know the wall sounds very intriguing. Torn with Isabel Allende's book because it's more showing the side of the conquerors, but I'm now just in chapter one. Take your time, Ilian. You know the rule. I don't know what the rule is. My rule is 100 pages minimum before I judge. And then I judge on page two because I can't help myself. No. Uh, yeah, Spanish conqueror of Ines Suarez. I mean, knowing Isabel Allende's political stance, broadly speaking, I would be very surprised if she would be sort of like writing a gushing biography of any type of conqueror without showing frankly, the devastation that conquerors wrought on native populations. There's a funny BBC radio comedy. Jessica says on a similar theme, "Welcome to our village. Please invade carefully." Yeah, and of course, The Prisoner, a big important television show of the 60s, all these kind of things, and then Stephen King, The Dome. Even the Simpsons movie had a thing with where they put the dome over it. But The Wall is very different. I mean, it's really very deep philosophy. Very, very important book. The German version, just to make sure for completion's sake, the German original version is called Die Wand. Okay, there we go. For our German speaking friends, die Wand, in case you couldn't figure that out. Now, let me ask you, do you guys want, I have an incredibly awesome short story here um, from the Anarchist Review of Books, which is a paper that I subscribe to in the physical realm. This is edited by former guests Nick Mamatas and Kara Hoffman. Oh, Elian says she saw the movie. Oh yeah, Elian. God damn it. You violated rule number one. Actually, my rule number one. The rule number one is to always read the book first. Not to again, not to I mean, I make movies. I This is my day job is making and editing audiovisual material. But my rule number one is always the book first, because then the imagination and the cinema in your own head kicks in, and you create the world, you create the characters, and then you can, if you can, if they made a movie, you can, okay, I'll check it out and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and whatnot, or I don't. But movies are when movies adapt a book, the problem is the movie cannot be is well, obviously it's very different, but in my opinion, it can never be as deep and expansive as the book. That's my personal opinion. There's a lot of people who disagree with me, including David Lynch, who feels that the visual storytelling is much superior to the word. Uh, so Jessica hates both the girl on the train. Jessica's equal opportunity hater. So if they come up with a radio drama, you probably hate that too. But yeah, the thing is with Die Wand with Martina Gedeck. Um, I mean, Martina Gedeck is one of the best German actresses, no doubt about it. Uh, I dated her sister. Did I say that? In the 90s. She's a doctor now. She's not an actress. But um, yeah, so Die Wand with Martina Gedeck. I assume it's probably a good movie, but the depth, and now of course Elian has to kind of, what does Elian say? I did not know it was a book adaptation, but I saw the film about 10 years ago. Or you forgot about it. Oh, good. That's what I was going to suggest, Elian. So, either you give yourself a lobotomy, uh, or you drink until you forget that this movie exists, and then you can read the book fresh. I mean, this is I mean, dementia has its perks. Okay, that's a bad joke and bad taste. We had a lot of dementia patients, not patients. We had people in close family with dementia. It's not a fun thing. But it's good that you probably forgot the movie. The book is powerful. So where was I? What did Jessica say? She hates books and movies. Girl on a Train. Now, yeah. So the Anarchy Review of Books. Here we go. You have to look this up because I can't type this in. Oh wait, this is different. God damn it! Where are all my slides? This is the wrong one. This is just the cover. I actually have a picture of me reading it where you see a black sock. Because Germans always read anarchism books with black socks. Let me see, where is this? Ah, here it is. Okay, let me just get that in there. And so Kara Hoffman and Nick Mamatas, they were both guests here. They're publishers with others of the Anarchist Review books, and it's really fantastic. So this is an actual paper. I'm gonna upload this image here real quick so you can see it. Uh, It's like a newspaper, and I really love it. Very diverse reviews, diverse books, very different books, and I just love. Look at this. I'm holding it here. Here you see the black sock. This is my foot in the black sock, as it was required. Germans always wear black socks, especially on the beach, in flip-flops. That's just what we do. So our mothers taught us well. But I love the Anarchist Review of Books. Please look up their website and consider subscription. It's $15 US. They ship all over the world. They ship out of England for European continent, and it's a lot of fun. And it's how many pages? It's like 20 pages, 25 pages, and it's just a completely different. Some of the books you recognize, but the way they're reviewed is very different from a different lens. And excuse me, and a lot of books that you don't recognize and that really frankly do need the recognition. So it's a really kind of it's a treasure trove that is very very much I think needed to complement popular culture. But anyway, so now lift your arms or say in local chat if you want me to read a really hilarious short story by Kara Hoffman, past guest. Remember, she was a frog. Or should I read the beginning pages of Perry Roden, Enterprise Stardust? I know Flenza is like, does my vote count? Does the dragon vote count twice? Flenza has brought in some, like, electors, dead electors from Trump. Maybe both, but also got to keep it tight. Let's see what happens. This might actually work. So I'm going to start with Anarchist Review of Books. Let me sit down and remove. This is a really fun story. I mean, Kara Hoffman, I don't know if people remember, she was a frog avatar with a Foucault like turtleneck and glasses. Um, Kara Hoffman is maybe somebody can type in her check out her the website and type it into the local chat maybe. Kara Hoffman is has three four novels, and we talked about her short story collection, which is really cool, really wacky short stories. So here we go. Let's see here. This story is called "Burn the House" by Kara Hoffman. My cousin Patrick lived down by the old hotel on Route 227. He had been prom king at our high school and now ran an electronics repair shop. He owned his own house because he'd married into a used car dealership money. His wife had white skin, nearly white hair, and pale gray eyes, and this made her look like a ghost or a photo negative. She worked as a teacher's aide, and she often repeated what she said using the phrase, like I said, to connect two identical phrases in a kind of elliptical sentence long stutter. Now, my cousin had been good friends with DeShellis, and in the evening, DeShellis would talk about how much he hated the woman my cousin married and how we should do something about it. What do you mean, like kill her? No, he said, like tell Patrick. Tell him what? Tell that you hate her? No, he said, tell him what's wrong with her. The cellist put his dental floss and nail clippers back into the milk crate and started rolling a cigarette. We don't know what's wrong with her, I said, and it occurred to me that there was some reason the cellist hadn't got more of an education. It wasn't just something me and the man in the library didn't do. He'd been smart. He'd been friends with all the smartest kids in school. He'd been in all those clubs. Hey, why didn't you go to college? I asked him. I did, he said. Where? Northwestern. Northwestern where? He said, that's the name of the school, moron. Then why didn't you graduate? I said. He said, I did. Don't think you and me are the same, Kylie. The thing that most upset me about that woman my cousin married was that she would not give back a chair I'd asked him to keep at his house for me. And now that I lived in the double wide and had no furniture, I wanted something to sit on. She offered to give me two end tables they were getting rid of instead. I'd rather have the chair, I told her. It's really a part of our living room now, she said. And like I said, it's part of the living room right now, and you can have the end tables. The chair is mine, though, I said. You guys were storing it for me. Well, like I said, she told me, it's become part of our house. And like I said, if you want the end tables, you can come and take them. I called my cousin and told him I wanted my motherfucking chair back. What? He said, whose? I want the blue fucking chair back because I don't have any fucking furniture, I said. I'm living in a trailer by cowards and just have a mattress. Kylie? He said. Yeah, it's Kylie. Who else gave you the goddamn chair? Oh, I thought you were living in Grandma Swank's house. Are you living with the cellist? I told him I was, and that the next time he got together with the cellist, he could give him the chair. Sure, he said. No problem. 10 minutes later, his wife called back and told me that, like she said, I couldn't have the chair. I'm going to burn your motherfucking house down, I said. But what I meant was, I wanted the chair back because it was the chair my mother had in her bedroom, and she would sit in it and listen to me when I practiced. And she would sit in it when she read books in the evening, and she would sit in it in her yellow robe with a towel on her head when she filed her nails. My cousin's voice was on the phone. Did you just say you're going to burn our house down? I'm obviously not going to burn your house down, I said. Give me the phone, the cellist said, pulling it from my hands. The cellist told my cousin he was coming over his house and he was going to take the chair. When he got off, I asked how he was going to do it since we had no car and there was no public transportation out where we lived. We'll take a boat, he said. We'll go down to the inlet and dock at Damford's and then walk up to 227. We don't have a boat, I said. Your uncle has a boat. He doesn't. Well, his boyfriend does, the cellist said. I seen them out on it. It's getting dark, I said. The cellist asked if I really wanted that chair or if I wanted to make him look like an idiot, and I said with his plan it wasn't an either or choice. I could probably have both. The inlet released into a lake that in recent years had a toxic algae bloom. A kind of red fuzz floated everywhere, and no one could swim in it without their skin burning. But it's a beautiful night to be out on the water, the cellist said. There's no way Johnny will loan us his boat, I said. How's he going to know about it, said the cellist. And he was right. Johnny didn't know. The sky was black overhead, and the moon was cut into a sharp little arc, and parts of the sky looked like they were brushed with glittering dust, and the waterside bars and taverns were lit up, their windows gleaming orange into the night, and the sound of the water lapping against the side of the boat seemed like an ancient noise to me, like an ancient voice. The current was with us to the mouth of the lake, and then we rowed, hugging the coast, seeing the houses and docks of the summer people that looked haunted and shabby compared to the silhouettes of the willows and maples and pines and the majestic dark of the shale cliffsides. The cellist told me about a paper route he had when he was a kid and how one day after 8 years of delivering he picked up the papers, took them to the edge of the lake and set them all on fire. After we rode a little further, he said he was happy we were doing the right thing about the chair, that the only way to survive the avalanche of small indignities we faced every day was to take this kind of decisive action. It didn't take as long as I thought to get to Danford's public slip where fancy boats rocked, their white masts gleaming. We docked the boat and pulled it up onto the shore and hid it beneath some wisteria. Then we walked uphill for about a half mile on a dirt trail that wound into the cliffside. If we had brought a flashlight, we'd have been able to see the shale cliff had collapsed onto the path and the potholes and ditches and smashed bottles and the raspberry bush that was mostly a tangle of thorns. When we emerged near a drain pipe on 227, the streaks of blood on the cellist's face shone dark in the moonlight. Sticks and leaves were caught in his long hair, and his hands and beard were black with mud. Kylie, he said, you look like shit. I laced my boots tighter against the pain of a turned ankle, and we walked along the side of the road until we reached my cousin's tiny house. It cowered in the shadow of the sprawling abandoned hotel with white paint peeling like a molting bird. We crunched up the gravel driveway and rang the doorbell. My cousin opened the door and winced. I said, "Hello, I'm making this brief call to share an important message with you about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." My cousin laughed hard, then looked annoyed with himself. "Did you get hit by a car?" he asked the cellist. "Roman soldiers did this to him," I said. "Yeah, yeah, all right," my cousin said. "You know why we're here, Patrick," said the cellist. "To burn the house down?" my cousin asked. "I never said I was going to burn your house down," I said. "You did, though," said Patrick. "You got them lucky. We don't burn your fucking house down," said the jealous. My cousin didn't move from the doorway. Beyond him, I could see into the living room. The television was on. The blue light of it was reflecting on his wife's skin as she sat in the chair, pretending we weren't standing 5 feet away from her. In addition to the chair, they had a couch, an ottoman, another chair, a bookcase, and a coffee table. The coffee table had computer magazines on it, and coasters and mugs and figurines from role playing games. They had framed posters from sci fi movies hanging on the walls, and also shelves with framed pictures of the two of them together. The house was so much like his childhood room, still filled with toys and movie posters and Coca Cola bottles, still the flickering of the TV. "I'd ask you in," my cousin said, "but you're both covered in dirt." "Patrick," I said, "can I please have the chair back? I don't have any furniture in the house." "It's your choice, Kylie," he said. "You could be living at Grandma Swank's with plenty of furniture." At this, his wife finally stood up and said she couldn't believe I was there at 10 o'clock at night, covered in dirt, with a filthy hobo trying and take their living room chair. And then it was 10 o'clock at night, and there I was, like she said, trying to take the chair with a filthy hobo. "I'd like to get some of my mother's things back," I said to my cousin, ignoring her. He said, "I hear you, Kylie, but this isn't the way." At that, the cellist pushed past my cousin, stomped his muddy shoes all over their beige carpeting. My cousin's wife let out a little shriek of rage as she backed herself into the kitchen, and the cellist picked up the chair and brought it outside. My cousin's wife shouted that she was going to call the police, and my cousin shut the door before we could hear her say it again. Once we had walked to the road, I told the cellist there was no way we'd be able to get it down the hill and into the boat, and he said one of us would have to hitchhike home, the other would take the boat and moor it back at Johnny's dock. I said it was going to be impossible to get a ride with the chair. "Watch," I said, and stuck up my thumb. We waited in darkness on the side of the road. The peepers were calling, and the pines were tall, and the stars were still gleaming down on us. Every time a car approached, we were briefly blinded, then revealed to one another as filthy, foreign scratched monsters standing next to a blue, overstuffed wingback chair with delicate wooden legs. Finally, a car stopped, but it was a police car. "That motherfucker," the jealous whispered. The cop left his brights on as he walked toward us. It was hard to see his face, but once he got close enough, I realized it was Wade, my uncle's AA sponsor. He was short and burly, but not fat, and he had big, dark, wide-set eyes. "Kylie," he said, "what are you doing out here?" I said, "Just moving my chair from my cousin's house." "Is your cousin a groundhog?" he asked. I said, "Yes." "What's going on here?" he asked. I'm moving this chair," I said. "With what?" he asked. "With the cellist." "My boat's moored down at the slip," the cellist said in some crisp approximately. My cellist moored. My boat's moored down at the clip. A slip," the cellist said in some crisp approximation of a rich person's voice. "What happened to your face?" Wade asked. I didn't know which of us he was addressing, so I didn't say anything. The cellist didn't say anything either, and then Wade shook his head and said he wasn't going to tell my uncle because Gordon had enough stress in his life. "Tell him what?" I said. Everyone was quiet. Another car passed. Wade pinched the top of his nose and shut his eyes. Okay, he said, you're taking this chair down to the slip? No, I told him, because the dirt path was wet and part of the shale cliff had collapsed and there were thorn hedges. That's why I was trying to hitch a ride. Wade pointed his flashlight in the direction of some clean, wide, concrete steps at the edge of the road. They seemed to appear out of nowhere, like he was projecting the image with his flashlight. The cellist asked how long those steps had been there, and Wade said, since 1997. Never used them a day in my life, the cellist said. The chairs led down to a wide sidewalk and then a boardwalk that ran directly to the slip. The lake looked beautiful with the moon shining higher and the stars brighter than ever. The wisteria glowed in the pale light. Yellow flowers washed white. I set the chair down at the water's edge and sat in it watching the silver ripples on black water. The cellist had been right about getting out and doing things. There were other boats docked at the slip, some sailboats, a motorboat, but most people with boats kept them in their yards beneath a tarp like Johnny had, so people wouldn't steal them. Once he'd pulled the boat from beneath the wisteria, it was clear it would be a tight fit for the chair, but so what? I thought about the man who worked in the library and how I would describe the night to him. I thought about his voice and his eyes. I thought about his hands weighted with a book as he looked at its spine. I said, maybe we should stay here and watch the sun come up. The sun will be up in 7 hours, said the jealous. So we put the chair in the boat, laying it on its back with the legs sticking out over the stern, and pushed off. The water was like glass. There were no boats, and the frogs were silent, and every once in a while we heard an owl. We rowed hard toward the inlet, going straight out into the lake, this time instead of paddling up the coast. And I felt like now that I had the chair, that I had everything. I had a job, a quiet place to live. The sky and the water were talking to one another, and I felt like I was singing in that moment without opening my mouth or making a sound. The night was a vast black canopy that spread between the sheltering cliffs. I was hot from rowing in the cool air, and even the scratches from the thorns and the bruises from the fall felt good. We passed under a low bridge and then into the inlet. We passed the same bars and taverns, and people were out now on the decks, drinking beneath strands of halogen lights, and even though we couldn't afford to join them, they waved to us as we drifted by. Farther in, we could see the tents of the jungle, blue and red and dingy, and little fires where people were having a camp meal or sitting and drinking. When we pulled up to Johnny's dock, I got out of the boat first, and the jealous tossed me the rope so I could tie it up. Then he handed me the chair, which was caked with dried mud, and hopped onto the dock. I tipped the chair upside down, carrying it by resting the seat on my head, and we walked the narrow mile back home. Kara Hoffman, Burn the House. It's good writing. There's nothing you can say to that. That's what that's that's good writing. Her short story collection Ruin is highly recommended. Slim book. And again, here the Anarchist review of books. I think I have two issues now with my subscription, and this is the first one that has a story in it. So I'm not sure if they always do that. Um, but yeah, very cool. I'm gonna cut and paste Kara Hoffman's website in here. It's very simple, karahoffman.net. Hello, Sammy. I just saw Sammy. I had my camera trained on me. I'm streaming myself. Siri, good to see you. Goodbye, and have a good week. Well, we're gonna wrap tightly at the top of the hour. I know Flenser is like, "Where's my Perry Roden reading?" We'll do it next week. And I'm gonna prepare a little bit more Perry Roden. And we're gonna read the from the English translation here. Maybe we'll read a little bit of the reboot as well. Yeah. So then, gonna wrap it a little tighter today. It's brutally hot. I'm trying to also preserve actually energy costs and computery thingies and spending again the time outdoors with my three items: Periroden, Nivea cream, and black tea. You're welcome, Shiloh. Again, star of the Unborn Franz Werfel. Look into Franz Werfel. Look up his Wikipedia. Really, really, really important writer. Marlene Haushofer, The Wall. Don't watch the movie with Martina Gedeck, although I dated her sister once. Did I mention that before? I forget. And Martina Gedeck is a fantastic actress. Do not watch the movie. Read the book, The Wall. Jessica, what are you bringing for next week? You want to maybe? Oh yeah, you maybe you want to read. I got a new short story you might like. Absolutely. Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah, one of your short stories. That would be really cool. And then we can also encourage people to support our in-house writers. Maybe pick something up from the evil A word website. Yeah, but you have stuff published. People, really good stuff. So Elian, thank you. Thank you for coming. Elian, Roxy, I wish I had a teleportation device where I could teleport you those art catalogs. Um, I've really a lot. Um, oh, there was is a donate. Oh my God. Kitten Duo, Kitten Duo says, Draxter, thank you for this. Means a lot to me. Kitten is supporting this show. Thank you, Kitten. But please, I want to say this, Kitten. Do not feel obligated to, dig deep in your wallet. We appreciate it, and we need the money that people donate goes right back into the show. um, let me actually close with this because there's all these rumors. um, I don't know how big these rumors are, but we do have three islands where we pay no tier, and these are supplied by Linden Lab. So Linden Lab gives us three islands for free. That's their sponsorship. They have an incentive because we create great worlds on here. But the custom avatars for the guests, nobody pays for those other than me out of pocket. So I pay this out of pocket because this is important to me to bring these types of events to the world. It's like I'm a bookstore owner. I say this all the time, like I own this virtual bookstore, and I basically decorate the bookstore every time um, somebody comes. Now, I don't decorate it myself. Ruby does, uh, Isabel does, but I foot the bill. So, this can go sometimes. Let me give you a figure. Some of the avatars they easily go up to the 6,000 Linden dollar range. Why? Because of mesh heads. This depends on what the author requests. Let me give you a little glimpse behind the scenes. So I contact the author, and then I tell them, think big. You can be anything you want, and I mean it. I want people to the guests who are all noobs, with very few exceptions. Ken Liu had a Second Life account from 2005, interestingly enough, and some others, they were sort of dormant. But you know, uh, some of the stuff is cheaper. But when you talk about a human mesh head, you already have 3,000, 4,000, and then you add clothing, and then sometimes you have very specific requests of non-humanoid that are even more expensive. So, um, That's one cost factor, and the other cost factor is, of course, the sets or the venues. And we do get some stuff for free. I ask people if they are willing to donate this for the book club, and very often people say yes, of course. But because the turnaround is so fast, I mean, we're going to switch to a bi-weekly show next after the break. But when we do this weekly, you can imagine how hectic this is. So I read the book and immediately I got to think about the sets. I got to communicate it to Ruby. We don't have time to wait for 2 days for the content creator in Second Life to tell us, yeah, you get it for free. So we end up buying stuff. So the set sometimes costs, I try to keep it around 3,000 Linden dollars, but sometimes it's more. So those are some significant expenses. So I appreciate I appreciate everybody supporting, and Kitten is just really wonderful supporting us here as are others. But Kitten, I'm streaming. Like I said, I was like in the summer I'm not gonna stream. I was like, but Kitten can't come in World, because like, and she's like, it's like tuning into your favorite radio show. I always talk about radio because I come from radio, and my dad recorded all these radio dramas from German radio. I still have those cassette tapes. I was like, oh my God, Wednesday I'm tuning in and my favorite show is not on. What am I gonna do? I mean, I can relate to this. When you have a routine and you discover something, a recurring program that you love, and it's not on, that's terrible. Even in the times of, on demand, we live obviously in a different era. We live in an on demand era where we can get everything at any point in time a la carte. But the recurring event type nature of this, and then the broadcast of it, there is some there's a routine to it that I think is important and soothing and reassuring I mean, it's a community meeting. You go to this meeting and it's Wednesday at that time. At this Which brings me back to Perry Roden, poor Flenza, because he lives in America, but what I can do, Flenza, I can go every Friday. I can go to the kiosk. You know what? Every Friday I go to the kiosk. Friday is Perry Roden Day. They publish every Friday. I go to the kiosk and I have another little magazine with an amazing cover. Oh my God, the covers. Oh, Sammy. Wait a minute. This is interesting, Sammy. Okay, let's spend a few minutes here. By the way, you know what's really terrible is my headphones are closed headphones. Sennheiser, very good, but with the heat, oh my God, you can imagine. Closed headphones. Oh God, they're really like I'm getting like a heat stroke. Sammy, I thought you had a special SL account. No, not at all. Not at all. Every single guest has their own avatar on their own account. They create an account with some exceptions. I have created a few accounts for Larry Niven. I asked him, Larry, you want to do this? No, you do it. That's how he talks. You do it, Draxtor. You create an account for me. Okay, Larry, what shall I call it? You call this account the real Larry Niven. So okay, good. And then we had an onboarding which was so fun. I was calling him on the landline, stepping him through the downloading Second Life and going in. It was so cool. And and this is amazing. And I told this story before, but let me just tell it again. This took this took like 3 hours. Not because Larry is stupid or computer illiterate. No, it took 3 hours because Microsoft is a disaster. The Microsoft operating system and everything involved. I know I'm not telling you anything new, but the thing was, I was telling Larry, "Can you download Skype?" And then we get on Skype, and then we tabled that idea, And I say, okay, let's download Second Life. Go to the website, download it, and install it. Now, what happened was because of the nature of the desktop, I mean, the Mac is not that different, but the nature of the desktop is, of course, that stuff gets stacked on top of each other. So he was actually downloading Second Life, and Second Life was already asking, where should I install? But it was hidden underneath some of these other windows. And I was like, what, and I didn't have a visual. So I was like, what's going on there? Well, I don't know. Where is it? It's somewhere. Where is this Second Life? And so before I realized, like, oh my God, he's downloading and it's stuck. So he can't download it again because then, of course, the website tells him, hey, it's already downloaded. It's trying to install. So until we got it installed, and typed in because I also had to spell out the password because I set up the account for him and we created this custom avatar, which one of the coolest avatars. This was a custom created avatar from scratch by Silas Merlin. Uh, Unbelievable. So then he was in Second Life, and you know what? He was able to navigate beautifully, and everything was working out just fine. And why is that? Well, because we live in a three-dimensional virtual world and we live in a three-dimensional world in the real world. And Larry had a very intuitive sense to navigate in Second Life without any problems. Now, a problem occurred when he with the camera while he was sitting. That's a different story. That's the interface is complex as we all know. But what I found so interesting that he had a really hard time with the flat 2D desktop and had no problem navigating a 3D space going through the door. He said, walk a little bit to the left, turn around, like with the arrow key. Oh, yeah, I see, and so on and so forth. So, but also, it should really tell us something about navigating online spaces for, let's just say older people or people who are not even older, but it just makes no sense the way we navigate on a screen. We should always navigate in a 3D world. Yeah. So go back to the Second Life Book Club and watch that episode, the Larry Niven interview. I'm not saying I'm a good interviewer, and I wasn't. I'm not. I haven't read everything from Larry. Actually, I only read like 3 books. Um, I mean, he's fantastic, but it's just not like on totally on my radar. What was cool, Philip Rosedale showed up a little bit later, and Philip and he were talking about the technical aspects. Yeah. See, I wasn't even familiar with Ringworld. I read it just in prep for the show. So, I'm not saying Sammy, I don't know if this has anything to do with a gamer laptop really. It's merely navigating in a space that is similar to how we navigate in the physical world versus navigating in 2 dimensions. We are not two-dimensional beings. Sorry, this is breaking news, folks. Breaking news. Draxtor right here with the breaking news. We're not two-dimensional. We're not stick figures. Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to bed. And let me check here. Kitten saying, I was surprised to see you were going to be live when you said it was for me. Thank you. Really, really for you. I know that there's a few other people watching here as well. Bloodfang. Thank you, Bloodfang. Set your alarm clock, Bloodfang. You gotta catch it from the beginning, Bloodfang. You will enjoy it. Artful Eye. Oh, that's Stella. Okay, Stella is here, and Petra, who is Bunny. She is here dually. So yeah. So sorry for the other folks. I love you all, but the stream is really just for Kitten because you other guys, you can come in the world. You lazy bums. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Jerry Cotton. Oh my God, Jerry Cotton. I have Jerry Cotton. I still have Jerry Cotton. My mother hated Jerry Cotton. Oh my God. She's like this reactionary shit. Um, Elian, please get Perry Roden. Let me. Okay, I know that I gotta go to bed, but now Elian is mentioning Perry Roden. Let me just look up the Perry Roden website, um, Perry Roden shop, or look on eBay. Here, perryroden.net. I mean, the covers are just freaking amazing. But so let me just close with this one Perry Roden thing. So I decided to read it from the very beginning, like I said. I'm reading from when these were written in 1961, okay? Where Perry Roden basically flies to the moon and finds these aliens and then decides to unite the world. This was written, of course, with the Cold War backdrop, nuclear annihilation. The two German guys that started the series, they were both in the war. Clark Darlton, one of the writers, he was in prison in Kazakhstan for 5 years. So they were children or adults of their time. There's a lot of Star Trekian thought in the beginning of the series about uniting the world, being with a diverse population, with looking past people's skin color and such. But there's also a militaristic streak. There's no doubt about that. So it's very much also influenced by you know American sci-fi, obviously. So while the human race unites, they're looking for new enemies. I mean, they're not looking for them. The enemies are there, right? And they're non-human. They're like weird, like lizard type people, the people that Alex Jones dreams about. So it's weird. It's in a way. I think the argument can be made, at least in the first season of Perry Roden, that there is a militaristic. The charge has been made that it's frankly fascistic. I completely disagree. But with the uniting of humans comes these other aliens, and they're described by the writers in the writing is not the greatest. Some of the stuff, some of the writing is not the greatest. I mean, this is Perry Roden to me. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely addicted. This is the greatest thing that in my life. And I'm a musician, and I could get rid of. I could sell you all my guitars and my piano. I could get rid of my drum set. But if you take my Perry Roden, I'm gonna kill you. Having said that, some of the writing is not the greatest, and especially the some of the writing about like making sure the reader understands that the aliens are evil and non-human, right? Because we're gonna destroy them, so we got to set it up that they're like really like you otherizing them in a very black and white way. Now, this changed over the years. So here's where I'm going to close. The most fascinating thing of reading the series from the beginning is to read it in the context of what happened in the world at that time. And then when you go from the 60s to the 70s, a new managing editor came in, William Waltz, and he was ostensibly a progressive lefty. And people were making fun of it, like uh, people are saying like, "Oh, Perry Roden, William Waltz turned Perry Roden into a hippie." Then everything is all of a sudden like, oh, diplomacy and stuff and blah blah blah. So it's just fascinating to read this, like, oh, this is how they're transitioning to the 70s, and it's Perry Roden is basically always there, right? Since 1961, he's seen the Vietnam War. I mean, it's not happening in the book, right? But the writers saw that, and they were weaving that in. Now, other sci-fi writers also reflected what was happening, but not in a serialized manner in a continuous universe. Again, this is only possible in something like Star Trek or Doctor Who, where it's a coherent universe. So, anyways, just really cool. Good night, Kitten, and good night, everybody on YouTube. I'm gonna close. Should I close with another song from the Login to Life soundtrack for the YouTube people to bookend it? Let's see, what shall we use? Um, Login to Life soundtrack. I have to look it up on the YouTube. Any last comments? Shoot it now. Shoot the comments. We're gonna end with the virtual ability main theme. That's how we're going to end it from the Login to Life soundtrack. And Perry Roden is going to wait. And if Elian, if you endeavor to get into Perry Roden, rest assured I will be there for answering your questions. Elian, also you can look up Perry Roden Neo. Again, this is a reboot, which is interesting, but I'm not that interested in it right now. I'm more interested in, again, reading it with the historical context of the original. Yeah, and you can read one a day. You can read it in 2.5 hours. So, Sammy Lizards, we're gonna get into that next time. Special guest Alex Jones, if he's not in jail, hopefully he will be. But yeah, why am I referencing Alex Jones? Well, he's the one who believes that the lizard people are real. Anyways, goodbye, everyone. Good night. Here comes the main theme from Login to Life.